I was having a hard time finding the right title for this video. It could be, does a big house make you happier? Or it could also be, is this the best place for kids to grow up? Lots of questions ran through my mind during these summer holidays. To celebrate summer school vacation, I went with my family to England once again. Last year we stayed in the area near Cambridge, but this year we went further south to explore the beautiful hills of Dartmoor. There were lots of wild ponies and sheep, so much space to run around without any fences. It's just so lovely, the feeling of freedom that you'll get when being in a space so open and vast. Just like last year, we had the pleasure to house sit for another family and take care of their sweet animals, their beautiful home and impressive piece of land. I absolutely love this type of vacation. This is so much better than a noisy hotel full of tourists or an expensive and empty holiday apartment. Being able to step into someone else's life this way, experience their soulful home, their pets, and get a glimpse of their lifestyle holds so many valuable treasures and lessons. I'm curious about what it feels like to live in a home with more rooms than I can count. I want to know what it's like to have your own land, meadows and forests reaching further than my eyes can see. What is it like to care for horses and chickens? Are my kids happier in a place like this? It is a dream, but is it my dream? I am so grateful that I am able to find answers to these questions through house sitting. This video is not sponsored, but I want to share with you what I use to make these kind of vacations possible, and who knows, maybe they are so kind to sponsor me in the future. I use the app called Trusted House Sitters to find these amazing opportunities. At the moment, the majority of people using this app seems to be in England and in the United States, but I really hope it will spread more and more to other countries as well, as it is such a lovely and unique way of travel.
Kaas, kaas, kaas.
It is August and most summer days here in England actually feel more like autumn. But I can't help it. I find those misty hills and woods, as well as the soft sound of rain, incredibly romantic. is no surprise, as we all know that England is a very wet country with lots of rain. However, this makes it also the greenest country I've ever seen. There are endless shades of green and an abundance of plants, moss and grass everywhere. It is so, so beautiful. So, what is the best place for children to grow up? I've been asking myself that question frequently. Here they have all the space one could wish for, inside the house as well as outside of it. Lots of nature to run around in and explore, a lovely bunch of animals, dogs, horses, chickens, and a cat that they can play with and care for. I'm convinced that growing up with animals has so many positive things to offer for children. They learn to take care of another living being, learn to treat them with kindness and respect, and in return get lots of love, cuddles, loyalty, happiness, and play. It's wonderful, really, and I'm so glad we have a dog at home as well. There's a vegetable garden here so the kids can see the food grow. They help me harvest tomatoes and courgette for dinner.
Goed zo. Dan vatten we wel af. Super.
Zo schat.
At home in our little garden we have raspberries, and it always makes me so happy seeing them run outside to pick and enjoy some of the sweet fruits straight from their own little piece of land. It is important to me that they see that nature grows our food and not the supermarket. Both experiences, growing up with an animal and growing and harvesting your own food, does not necessarily require lots of space. They could grow up in an apartment with a cat and having tomatoes and strawberries on a little balcony. Of course, having a bigger space gives more choice and the possibility to have a greater variety of animals, fruits and vegetables, and also simply more of them. It amplifies the experience, but costs also not only more space, but more time and effort.
You know, moet je niet op. Waarom? Zie je helemaal vol gepoept met geitenkak. Ik ben helemaal trots op.
remember my friend saying that she probably would not want to stay in a place like this. She would be afraid that her own house would feel not good enough anymore afterwards, that you'd get used to the available luxuries and you would feel bad going back to your own normal life. I must honestly say that it doesn't feel like this to me at all. Instead, I find these experiences extremely liberating. A lot of things sound wonderful, like this cooker, for example. You'll get boiling hot water out of a tap in seconds. Sounds great? Yes, but I hurt myself many times with that thing. It's almost impossible to open it just lightly. The boiling water splashes out in full force, often spraying burning hot drops onto my arm. Well, maybe I'm just too clumsy, but that's just to give one example. Not everything that sounds great actually is. There's also a lot to say about the size of a house. My husband and I noticed that last year already. A house can definitely at a point feel too big, which results in looking for one another a lot. It is so big that when we call each other, the other person often cannot hear you. It sounds so stupid and simple, but it can really be annoying. You feel literally less connected to each other, and a sense of coziness disappears. It also feels a little bit less safe. I'm aware of the fact that there are 4 entrances to the house, and if I'm on the one side, I have no idea what happens on the other side. Now, this didn't bother me too much this time, because the dogs were really good at guarding. But it's just one of these things one might not think about if you haven't experienced being in such a big house before. So I find it very liberating because this experience opens my eyes to the things I really love and appreciate, and also shows me a lot of things that I now know I really don't need or even dislike, even though they sounded really nice in the first place. To reflect on my questions, after having spent 2.5 weeks in quite a big house with lots of space around it, do I think that my kids would be happier if they grew up here in the English countryside? The answer is no, I don't think so. At least not for the age they are having right now. Vacation time is obviously very different from the usual school days that they have a lot of throughout the year. But I feel like one of the most important factors in a child's happiness are the people they are surrounded by. My oldest son missed his best friend from school during the vacation, and he also noticed that there are no other kids around here to play with, except for his little brother, of course. Having grandparents live close, so the kids can grow up with loving adults other than their own parents, is very beneficial as well, I believe. Living more remotely like this makes the children very dependent. At home, we live at the edge of a small city in a neighborhood where the boys can step outside and walk to their friends or to the playground. There is lots of social contact for them. When they're a little bit older, I can even send them to the supermarket by foot to get some groceries, and I know from my childhood what a great feeling that was, being able to do such a grown-up thing by yourself. They can also ride their bikes to school or to one of their hobbies. Everything is close by in the Netherlands. Growing up in the English countryside, they would always be dependent on a parent taking them places by car or picking up a friend to take home to be able to play with them. They could never really do any of that themselves until they're teenagers, old enough to ride an electric bike or a moped. And thinking about the English streets, this would make me really nervous, to be honest. Reflecting on the size of the house and property, as I said before, things can definitely feel too big. Bigger space means bigger responsibilities and more worries as well. But a house can also feel too small. I'm a huge fan of decluttering your space, but if you've done that and your space still feels too full, then it is more than natural, I think, to dream of something bigger. It's all about balance, I guess, and house sitting is just a really excellent way to get more clarity on what you really enjoy about a house, interior as well as exterior space, to hopefully someday recognize when you're standing in front of your dream home.